Welcome to the fifth lecture in our series, The Life of Chords. Today we are going to talk about famous chords, celebrity chords that achieved their status by virtue of acquiring a name and being parodied and quoted, imitated from composer to composer. And today, again at the piano, I have Peter Donohoe with me, the most wonderful collaborator in this, because he is going to play lots of very snippets and also a lovely piece at the end. So we begin with the chord that is called the Neapolitan sixth. So let us first establish what it is. So if you imagine yourself in a minor key, on the fourth note of the scale, there's usually a chord. In the 18th century at least, there was usually the chord that was the first inversion of the triad. So here we go back to our first lecture on the triads. And so it's a sixth chord. I wonder if Peter can play me something like F, A flat, D.
F, A flat, D.
In D minor. Yeah, so that's in C minor, for example, And then what if we flatten that top note? So this is now a major chord, a major sixth chord within a minor key. But yes, so it's a chord that doesn't actually belong to the notes of the minor scale. It is chromatic chord. So it's a kind of shift, creates a shift. And because of that, it has a very special color. Despite being major chord, it actually makes the minor more lugubrious, kind of deeper, more profound, makes the emotion more deep. So a good example that I would like to start with is a very famous slow movement of the Mozart Concerto number 23. And this is the very famous second movement. And I showed, it appears at the end of that phrase. The phrase was supposed to be finished already, because usually the classical phrases are like 8 bar long. But we have this extra bit, and it moves us into this major chord, which actually sounds extremely kind of pathetic, isn't it? Doesn't it? Mm-hmm. So you all know this music, and this wonderful moment when there is this shift occurs. Now, I wanted first to show how it usually functions within a cadence, because it's usually kind of a pre-cadential chord. So if you remember our lecture on cadences, we start from the end. So we have the ultimate note, which is the tonic. Then the bar before will be roughly the dominant harmony. So this Neapolitan sixth always appears before the dominant harmony, before the cadence. And usually when you hear that shift, even if you don't know that it's a Neapolitan sixth, you feel that the ending of the phrase is close. Because it's happened so much in the music that you kind of feel that's what happens. If you could just maybe play it again, maybe just the second half together with that.
Let me see now.
Another example, if we move 2 generations forward, is a very famous example from Chopin's first ballade. So that actually starts with this kind of bardic introduction, as if you strum a harp or a lyre or something like that. And you might think that you misread your program, because it says ballade in G minor, but in fact it starts in a major key. Yeah, well, it is a deception, yeah, because that is, again, a Neapolitan 6, which then turns you towards the cadence. And the cadence in G minor sounds, yeah, very, very sad.
That's the main theme. But for 4 bars before, we're in A flat major essentially, and then we move to G minor very slowly. Let's first of all ask a question. Why this chord is called a Neapolitan 6? What is Neapolitan about it? Is it one of those usual misleading musical terms? Yeah, that actually has nothing to do with Naples. Well, actually, yes and no. I think more yes. More. it does actually have something with Naples, but the term was invented or attached to this chord by an Englishman. It's an English composer, William Crotch, that we already mentioned in the previous lecture, yeah, who liked talking about chords. So he did it in 1812, so he called it a Neapolitan chord. If we look into the history of that, why did he think so? It's because Italian opera was very popular at the time, yeah, in England. And the operas that were popular then and are not popular now were by Alessandro Scarlatti. It's the father of Domenico Scarlatti, yeah, who was the famous harpsichordist, yeah, and creator of these harpsichord sonatas. So apparently Alessandro Scarlatti was very keen on the Neapolitan 6. Well, he didn't call it Neapolitan, obviously, but on that particular chord. And I found a lovely recording of his oratorio, yeah, which is called Cain, or the First Homicide. Yeah, so written in 1707, yeah, so the very beginning of the 18th century. And you can imagine, yeah, that the subject matter of this oratorio is extremely tense. We will hear the aria of Eve. Yeah, she's talking to Adam about the fall. Yeah, so about the sin and the punishment. And when she says the word punishment, pena, yeah, that's where we hear the Neapolitan 6th. So. And once more, just that little bit. Yeah, that little shift, that's what makes this incredible aria. I think it's very beautiful music, isn't it? So moving. Another aria, also by Eve, just to show you that this is really widespread. So there the words were "Abbi pietà," yeah, so have pity. So again, yeah, something very moving. Just hear it separately. Yeah, so that it sticks in your mind. So actually, even before William Croce, there was an Englishman also talking about this chord. Yeah, precisely because the chord was foreign. Yeah, it was imported by the Italians. And it was none other than Henry Purcell, who speaks about it in his manual for composition that he is editing, 1694. And he calls it the flat 6 before a close. Again, before a cadence is a favorite note with the Italians, for they generally make use of it. Yes, his contemporary, Roger North, calls this a querulous sort of cadence. And that's an interesting description of it. And I think that might be partly to do with the type of tuning that they were using. Yeah, that these notes, the note which is the semitone shift from the tonic, and then the third of the dominant, they kind of argue with each other. They, you would have to retune your harpsichord for it to actually be nice and not out of tune. So I think that was part of it. Hugo Riemann, the German scholar in the 1880s, calls it a chord of resignation and renunciation, which is very precise. And he also says a large number of striking phrases of great beauty are to be found in Bach, Beethoven, and others based on this introduction of the Neapolitan sixth chord. And I thought that we would go on to one of these striking moments of beauty in J.S. Bach, where that chord appears, I think, 4 or 5 times. It is actually an organ piece. It's called, what's it called?
Toccata? It's called Toccata, Adagio and Fugue in C major.
Fugue in C major, yeah.
One of the most glorious pieces I've ever heard.
One of the most glorious pieces that is not played enough. So we're going to play the Adagio as the whole thing. But maybe you can show first, the actual sort of Neapolitan when it comes.
Sure.
If you can find that.
We should be very clear as well. This transcription for piano is by Busoni, who was an enormous admirer of Bach and did a lot of transcriptions of his organ works fantastically well. And this is one of the greatest ones.
So if you can first just play that
sure.
bit.
This is bar 2.
Yeah. So that's, again, that querulous cadence. But in the organ, it actually sounds a little bit, out of tune, because I think the organ
I think the piano's in tune, but yes.
There's
an even more poignant one here, I think.
It is resignation and renunciation, isn't it, in that part? Yeah, before that loud section starts, which kind of actually prepares you for the fugue, and the fugue is very joyful, but we don't have time for it. It's one of the most exciting, I think, harmonic progressions ever.
Yes, it's extraordinary.
Yeah, absolutely extraordinary. So, talking about Beethoven, yeah, so another person that Riemann mentions. I think in Beethoven very often this chord serves as a kind of obstacle chord, something that you run into, yeah, and that creates this drama in the music. Beethoven uses various chords for that purpose, but I think the Neapolitan Six is very effective in the sonata that is called The Tempest. It happens kind of several times. Yeah, it's a serial occurrence here. So actually creates a sense of struggle, yeah, rather than resignation, although the sonata itself is, has that sense about it. But if we go to, I think this is the climax of resignation and renunciation. It's the Rachmaninoff piece, Etude Tableau, Opus 33, number 7, which is all based on this harmonic progression, yeah, based on the Neapolitan Six going into the tonic, all around that. You told me that it reminds you of the Chopin.
Well, yes, it's not only in the same key as the first ballade of Chopin, but at the very end, there's a direct quote from the Chopin ballade, which is notoriously difficult, so I'm not going to demonstrate it. But it is exactly the same big gesture of a G minor scale, and it's fairly obviously directly related to Chopin. Of course, Chopin influenced Rachmaninoff in his early style, much more than any other composer, I think.
So basically, Rachmaninoff is talking directly to Chopin's first ballade in this piece through the Neapolitan Chord. Yeah. So I think probably now I'm going to show you the grandest possible use of the Neapolitan, and that's in Wagner's opera Siegfried, beginning of the last act. Now, what happens there, if you know the Ring, yeah, and this whole sequence of 4 operas, this is the third of them, and that's when things starting to go really badly, and the supreme god Wotan feels, yeah, that the world is going to fall apart. His world, his universe is going to fall apart. And to talk about it, yeah, Wagner uses this shift right after the tonic. You shift in the Neapolitan chord. And then there are another couple of colorful chords. It's also extremely beautiful. And again, something very profound. Yeah, this always adds profundity to the music. And always followed with a cadence. Yeah, so that principle still holds even in Wagner.
Fascinating that it's also in G minor.
It is also in G minor.
Therefore,
yeah, I noticed that the keys keep coming back. It's also very interesting. Yeah,
so the A flat major is very significant because that is the Neapolitan sixth of G minor.
Exactly. Yeah. So now you can guess. Yeah, for something more jolly, right? Because actually. This chord has to do something with Spain as well. And we're going to see what. We're going to start with one example from Glinka's song, which is called Bolero, written in 1840 before he went to Spain. But it has that chord very starkly just after the tonic and going back to the tonic. So we're just talking basically about the first two bars, when this chord is supposed to create Spanish color. Now, how did Glinka come up with the idea that this was Spanish color, even before going to Spain? I don't quite know, so it might have been already sort of part of the idea that this chord has a connection with Spain. And we have to ask a question of maybe there was a historical connection, because Naples, the Kingdom of Naples, was under Spanish rule. Actually, part of Spain was part of Italy was under Spanish rule for centuries. And Spain, in its turn, was influenced by the Moorish, invasion, by being under the Muslim, government. So that flat two, I'm going to switch from calling it the Neapolitan six because it's a bit strange to call it the Neapolitan six when I talk about Spanish music. I'm going to switch by calling it a flat two because it's a kind of second degree, that semitonal shift that we were discussing. It's actually the flattened second note of the scale. It sometimes is also called Phrygian, very confusingly. So I mean, it comes from historical misappropriation of that name from ancient Greek theory. But basically, the Phrygian mode always has this semitone as at the very beginning of the scale. So you will be familiar. My husband told me to put this in, so I'm sorry if that is not something that... He said everyone will know that. Everyone knows that? So apparently one of the most popular pieces of representing Spain, in the, I don't know, when in the 50s and the 60s, when British tourists started going to Spain, the Paso Doble, which was written in the 20s, actually. So that has that shift in it. And this one was in the minor, but it doesn't actually have to be in the minor. For the Spanish style, it can be in the major as well. Now, if we talk about the development of Spanish style, we're going from Glinka, who is on the left there, on the top row, through a Spanish native composer called Felipe Pedrell, who admired Glinka. Usually, when native composers don't like when somebody represents their culture, they say you're doing it wrong. But Pedrell actually admired what Glinka did because Glinka went to Spain and also wrote 2 Spanish overtures, which are very beautiful. And then Pedrell was the teacher of Albéniz, Isaac Albéniz, whom we're going to talk about a little bit later. Now, all those people down there, and one that I missed out, who was Franz Liszt. So Liszt, Rimsky-Korsakov, Chabrier, Ravel, and Debussy also were using Spanish style. And the Spanish composer didn't mind it, but actually also learned. I think Albéniz learned a lot, both from Ravel and from Debussy. So it's an interesting kind of conglomeration of people who are working out the Spanish style.
This piece we are going to hear at the hall at the very end, but I would like Peter to just play a little bit of it to show how this flat 2 is just present all the time together with the tonic. So Albeniz himself said that he wanted to create as much Espanolismo as possible, as much Spanish style, as concentrated as possible, and also to make it as difficult for the pianist as possible. It's one of the most difficult pieces in the piano repertoire. Obviously to show that he can do even better than Debussy and Ravel could. So now, what if we add more dissonance to this these chords that we've discussed? And here in this section, we decided to have some favorite chords of ours. I've chosen this one, which takes place in Beethoven's Third Symphony. It's the climactic chord of the Eroica. It appears in the middle of the first movement, and it's like a cry of pain. It's orchestrated in such a way. It's extremely dissonant. And so many people quoted it and referred to it because it's a very memorable occasion. So it's extremely dissonant, and you think, oh, how did Beethoven come up with it? Again, going from where it resolves to, we can figure out what the chord is, because otherwise it doesn't make sense to us. So where it came to, it came to a cadence, in E minor, and we realized that this was a pre-cadential Neapolitan 6 with an extra note, that E that is stuck in, and that creates this sense of pain. So, and for Peter's chosen this one. It's a chord just before the ending of Ravel Bolero, and I'm going to play you this moment. So, I mean, you've chosen it, because it's sort of, it has almost all the notes in there.
Well, if we had time, of course, we could do with the other 17 minutes of the piece to appreciate just how extraordinary that one is, that chord.
Right, okay. Yes, so what happens there? It's a Neapolitan 6, only there are another, I think, 2 or 3 notes added in there, so that it creates this really kind of clump of notes in the middle of it, and it's really piercing. It's again like a cry, but not of pain, rather a cry of joy at the end of Bolero. And then it goes kind of cascades down to the tonic. Now let us now talk about another very famous celebrity chord, and now it's something that is not associated with a whole lot of composers, associated with one composer and a single work. So it takes the name of Tristan from the opera, Wagner's opera Tristan and Isolde. So why is it so, why did it so extraordinary? Why so many people referred to it, quoted to it, imitated it, parodied it? I've actually written all the points here, so I will consult them. So there are 5 points why this chord has become so famous. So it's the first chord in the opera. So it's a dissonance, which is unusual, because most operas, large-scale pieces, start with a triad, with a tonic, with a consonance. 2, unlike some dissonant chords, it actually doesn't suggest any particular key.
I wonder whether you should play it, yeah, so we know what we're talking about. So it just hangs there. It doesn't suggest any particular key. Now, we talked about diminished chords last time. Diminished chord also, diminished seventh, doesn't suggest any particular key. Well, this can be called a half diminished because it only has one tritone in it. So it is also kind of, floats in the air without any drive to resolve. But the way it resolves, though, it doesn't resolve in any way that we expect at all. It's a very unusual way. So if you could play just the chord and then how it goes. So it's actually resolves on the dominant seventh, which is not a stable chord. And again, that is left without any further resolution. Then that's just repeated a little bit higher. So we still don't know what key we're in. The fourth point is it's usually presented in a very characteristic orchestration. There is a kind of sour note from the oboe coming in. Yeah, so you notice it when it comes in. It's not just the sound of the chord, but the orchestration as well. And the fifth is that this chord is associated with a particular feeling of unsatisfied desire. Yeah, and it's a leitmotif. Yeah, it comes back again and again to suggest precisely that. So it has this dramatic association, and it is the idea of unsatisfied desire that underpins the entire opera, making the Tristan chord the core leitmotif. Yeah, but of course, all of these things don't yet make it famous. What makes it famous is its position of this opera in music history, because it is seen as something that basically starts dismantling tonality. Because we talked about it, I think, in one of the lectures, that is where you don't have a resolution until the very last page. And we're going to show it in a moment of how it happens. But first I would like to play you the Bernstein recording. He obviously thinks this is a very important moment, so he plays it very slowly. We already had that phrase 3 times. Yeah, we still don't know what the key is. It just sort of moves us along without resolving things at all. And the only place, where that resolution of that particular motif happens is the very end. I'm going to play quite a beautiful recording. most beautiful moments, yeah, sublime moments, when you think it's already over, yeah, and then you hear that chord again, and then it resolves and dissolves. So this is why people have been quoting that moment, both seriously and parodically, to elicit a laugh. So we will show you both. So this is just a little moment, when Debussy, Pelléas and Mélisande, Tristan and Isolde, similar story. Yeah, so obviously when they kiss, and it's just a brief moment before basically they're on the road to destruction, and Pelléas is wounded and then killed, you have a half-diminished chord. If you could play that. So Debussy was insisting that he wasn't influenced by Wagner. Yeah, so you will see how that works. Alban Berg, this is a very interesting example because this is already a serial piece. He is using a 12-tone method of Schoenberg, and he manages from a series to construct a quotation from Tristan. You will hear actually a complete quotation, and it sounds so strange because it's something familiar within something unfamiliar. But there is more to it. He was very clever with secret messages. So because he was in love, he had this illicit love affair with a person whose initials were HF. Yeah, I think she was called Hannah Fuchs. Yeah, and his initials were A and B. Yeah, so H and H is a B. H in musical German notation, H means the note B. Yeah, so that's just to explain that. Our B means B flat. Yeah, so that's why he is able to actually entangle these, the two monograms at the moment when the Tristan chord sounds. Then the style is very different, but for that moment we are suddenly within Tristan. Now the complete opposite of that is how Benjamin Britten uses it in his opera Albert Herring, so much later, and he wants to elicit a laugh. Obviously you need to know the Tristan chord to laugh here, but maybe you will laugh because you know. So the story goes, it's a comedy, so the story is that this shy young man, Albert, is chosen as May King, and all attention is piled upon him. And he is given a drink, a potion to drink. Well, not a potion, a lemonade, but the lemonade is laced with rum, which he doesn't realize. So it has this effect on him. So they sing 3 cheers, 3 cheers to the ladies. And on the 3rd cheer is suddenly on the Tristan chord. And that sort of gives you a sense of wooziness, as if the effect of the rum is felt.
And 3 cheers for her ladyship. Hip, hip. Hip, hip. Hip, hip.
Better, so that's still on that Tristan chord. So it is a funny moment. Now, probably the most famous parody of the Tristan chord again comes from Debussy. So he was not only serious about it, he could also be parodistic. From his suite, which is called Children's Corner. And here you have a modern dance, a very fashionable dance, which is a cakewalk, and in the middle of it there is a quotation from Tristan, which we recognize. If you could just play that middle bit.
Yes.
So you will read in lots of books that that's where he uses Tristan Chord. The problem is that it isn't actually Tristan Chord, and it's the melody is from Tristan, yeah, from the beginning Tristan. The chords are actually different. The chords are kind of popular music chords of the time. Yeah, it's a different chord, but people don't listen very carefully. The musical jokes is actually much more subtle than that, yeah, because it's in the first section of that piece, which is the cakewalk itself, where the Tristan Chord becomes the cakewalk theme. It's exactly the same pitches as the Tristan Chord, but they are, you will never realize that they are, yeah. So actually the Tristan Chord is imported into the cakewalk, and the cakewalk is imported in the Tristan quotation. Yeah, so it's something much more subtle, which I admire a lot. Yeah, and shows how Debussy's love-hate for Wagner. Let's move on. Yeah, from Tristan Chord, it's very easy to step over to the Mystic Chord, which is associated with Scriabin and with his piece Prometheus. And I think Scriabin definitely had the Tristan Chord in mind when he thought, well, I'm going to start my piece from a dissonant chord, which will be one better, yeah, or maybe several better. So this is the chord, but we're going to hear it first. In it, yeah, so that's why you see colored lights as well. The lights are in the score too. Yeah, so it sounds, the way it's orchestrated, it's like a kind of low rumble of the universe. Yeah, so that's probably the sound that the universe would make, yeah, if you listen to it. Yes, and because it's cosmic music. Yeah, so he comes up with this 6-note chord, yeah, which you just played to us, but it also sounds jazzy, doesn't it? I'll show you again what it is.
Well, it's one of the things I've always been fascinated by with Scriabin, is that there's quite obviously a huge amount of influence from Scriabin on jazz, and yet I don't know that there's any real actual connection between them. But so many chords and even rhythms that Scriabin wrote seem to be adopted by the American jazz scene, which I can't really demonstrate it at the moment, but it is a very fascinating aspect of the sort of harmony he used.
Yes, and you can find like a Mystic Chord in Duke Ellington, for example, if you look closely. That's not the place the Mystic Chord, again, it was an English critic who christened it after Scriabin's death, thus. In Russia, it's called Prometheus Chord, but it's not only in Prometheus. Yeah, there's another place where we can find it, in Sonata number 5, for example. Or with one difference, one note is lower, but also a 6-note chord at the start of Sonata number 7. So if you imagine that the first chord is a kind of dissonance, yeah, then the second chord feels like it's a resolution to it, even though there is nothing like a normal cadence, yeah, because the bass is going by a tritone, and also the second chord is also very dissonant, but it feels somehow less, yeah, a bit more stable than the first one. So the point I was going to make, and I think I'm making in the transcript, is that once you have such a dissonant six-note chord, you then have to use all the chords. All your chords have to be complex. You cannot just suddenly switch to using simple triads, yeah, because that will feel like, you know, a letdown. But I think Peter has an exception to that.
Well, I'm very fascinated by this because this is where you have an extremely dissonant piece, although it's a very beautiful one, by Messiaen. It's actually called La Fauvette des Jardins, which describes the progress of a day in terms of birdsong, but also in terms of the natural surroundings of where the birds are singing. And that includes the forest, the lake, and the mountain. In particular, the lake. That is the main point of this story, which is that it's very, very concordant, whereas the rest of the piece isn't. And suddenly this extraordinarily beautiful concord comes, very tonal chord, and it's almost like it's gone wrong because it's in such a strange context. There are one or two other moments like that. A famous one for me is a piece called The Berserking, which is a piano concerto by the Scottish composer James Macmillan. And most of the piece, which is very long, is very dissonant. And suddenly, after a very long pause, there's a gigantic chord of C-sharp minor, which seems so out of place that it's extraordinarily arresting. But this is the Messiaen moment. Let me just be sure that I'm in the right place. Move on a little bit because it's very slow and very long, but this moment here. Middle of a 37-minute piece, mostly very, very dissonant. This is an extraordinary moment. Very, very inspired for me.
And what happens there? Does the sun come up or something? Yeah?
Actually, no, it's the opposite. No, this is when the sun is setting at the end of the day. And the colour... Messiaen had synesthesia. And so he thought very much, as indeed did Scriabin, by the way, but he very much thought in terms of colour. And the way that the sunlight changes the colour of the lake as the day progresses was the whole point of this. And whenever the lake comes, there's something like that. But the most beautiful one is the sunset, or just before sunset.
So the next one I would like to address is called the Petrushka Chord. Yes, it comes from Stravinsky's ballet Petrushka, and it's also a six-note chord. Actually, only one of the notes is different from the Mystic Chord. But the way it's derived is completely different, yeah, because what Scriabin was doing, how he got at his six notes, he was taking the dominant seventh and adding notes to it, or altering notes in it. And Stravinsky does something very different, and something much, in a sense, more simple and straightforward. Yeah, he just takes two major triads and Yeah, overlays them. And it's very much under your hands, isn't it? That tells us that he was composing this at the piano.
Yeah.
I was writing in my transcript, for so long how exciting this is, and this is because Petrushka, the character from his childhood, like Punch, is speaking through a swazzle, so it has this very sort of strange timbre, and this dissonance creates the voice of Petrushka's cry, and how that is modernist and so on. And then I found out, just by accident, that chord was invented by Ravel. Yeah.
Says quite a lot about Stravinsky, really.
Yes, yeah. So he stole this chord from Ravel, who wrote it in his Jeu d'eau 10 years before Petrushka. Yeah, so. Petrushka Chord inside Ravel. Yes, the same notes, the same idea of overlaying two chords, the C major and the F sharp major, so they're separated by a tritone. So I thought maybe you could play to us the second, the part of the second scene of Petrushka, where
no. You don't need to. No, it's...
Thank you.
Thank you. It just strikes me that really a fascinating thing about this, and it's only just occurred to me, the combination of two concords that don't quite go together, which is, and it's exactly the same as in the Rite of Spring, where you have this, what Stravinsky called the seminal chord, which seems to...
Wait.
Okay, you didn't tell me about that.
Oh, did I not? Okay. Yeah, I've forgotten. I call it, he calls it the seminal chord, I call it the augurs chord, because that's where it appears in the ritual dance of the augurs of spring, in the very first balletic number. And can I just first... actually, you can.
Well, yes, F flat major, which is sounds like E major, of course, and the dominant seventh of A flat major. But if you put them together, it goes. One of the most striking moments in music, I think.
So it goes on. Shall I show you how it's danced, just for a moment? it's offensive balletically as well as musically. Yeah, so it's like, you know, a gigantic provocation. And of course, the idea of just keeping on this chord. Yeah, I think he uses it 412 times or something like that. Yeah, so it basically wipes out clean. Yeah, the whole story of tonality and all these subtle things that we were talking about. Yeah, all these progressions, Wagner, Tristan Chord, it's all wiped out, yeah, because now there's just this brutal primitivist, one chord that doesn't go anywhere, yeah, and it's very much, you know, Stravinsky's provocation, isn't it? Now that also became a meme. You really can call it a meme, and so many people have used it. I'm going to show you. Well, actually, you know, I think you suggested that to me. Or maybe you didn't. But
no, I didn't. No.
It's a Stockhausen piece, yeah, where, what do you do?
I think you play the first chord, which is the same as the Petrushka chord. He plays 147 times with a diminuendo, which probably would take the rest of the afternoon, really. But
yeah. So it's actually, I think it's 140 times, and then another 87 times, because he's trying to do a Fibonacci series. Yeah, but I think even 140 is connected to the longest section in the Rite of Spring. That's 140 repetitions of that chord. Yeah, so I think he's thinking of that definitely. Yeah, okay, we're not going to play that then, right?
No. I have played it, but it didn't need any practice whatsoever. I did that a long time ago. I won't be doing it again.
Okay.
It's a rather interesting coincidence that the first ballade of Chopin was dedicated to somebody called Madame Stockhausen. And I don't know whether it's the same family. I'd be very interested to find out.
Right. Well, I don't know about that. I just want to show something equally outrageous. So this is a film by the composer Mauricio Kagel, which was done for Beethoven's 200th birthday. And so it's an avant-garde kind of film, which is very, very abstract, but it's basically about our favorite snippets of Beethoven and also of music history, how we kind of remember various things and how they influenced other things. It is very whimsical. So here you have a pianist who seems to be one of the undead, playing the beginning of the Waldstein Sonata. And of course, the Waldstein Sonata starts with a repetition of a C major chord. Yeah. Okay, so let's hear what happens. She distorts this music, yeah? But then something worse happens later on. I want to show you that now. Now you can appreciate the joke of that, because it basically has these accents. It becomes Stravinsky. And obviously she's been playing it for 200 years, because her hair is sort of starting to envelope the piano. Yeah, so I'm sorry about this, probably was not welcome, this destruction of the Waldstein. Anyway, we are now at the end of our lecture. I just wanted to make a little conclusion before I let Peter play the last piece. It was fun looking through various celebrity chords, but I think there is a serious purpose to it, and part of that purpose is also the idea behind that film of Mauricio Kagel, is that music is one of the most abstract arts that we know, and yet we understand it. Yeah, we understand various words of it as if it was a language. And I think these celebrity chords and the way how various composers were in dialogue with each other, were picking it up, yeah, we're parodying them, we're distorting them, we're reacting to them, we're trying to do one better, is how this meaning is created. Yeah, and this is why music is meaningful to us. So with that, I will conclude, and we're going to hear a wonderful piece from Isaac Albanez's Iberia, Book 2, which is called Almeria, which is a nice place in Spain.
Professor Frolova-Walker and Peter, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Professor Frolova-Walker's next lecture on atonal music will look at a life without chords, and will take place on the 18th of May, and we hope you can all join us then. Once again, thank you very much, Peter, and thank you, Marina.
I just feel so bad that I didn't let you tell the story. And now everyone will be wondering what it was. So you have to do it now.
Okay, well, just at the background is that this piece, La Fauvette des Jardins, is the final piece. Can you all hear me? I don't have a microphone. It's the final piece of the Catalogue d'Oiseaux by Messiaen, which is a set of very long works, mostly, describing usually the course of a day, almost through the eyes of a bird or different birds. For Messiaen, who was very religious, the birds represented the angels. And so it's obviously a very spiritual experience. And this final one, the supplement, actually, La Fauvette des Jardins, it means the garden warbler. And it sounds like it could be quite a friendly little, maybe even slightly English piece, depicting the countryside and birdsong. Well, it does depict birdsong, but as you heard earlier on, it's very dissonant. It's actually literally what the garden warbler sings. The whole progress of the day is told through the activities of this bird, plus the landscape around the birds, and other birds as well, by the way. The mountain, as I mentioned before, the forest, and particularly the lake, and running water as well. It's all in there. It's actually part of the south of France that he's describing. And the garden warbler warbles endlessly. And the number of times this bird comes, with every single bar different, going, I'm not going to play it because I can't just at the moment, but it's something like that. Something like that, almost constantly. And in one particular place, which is, I think, the late afternoon, the garden warbler goes on for 6 pages. And it does become a little bit interminable, probably quite deliberately. And then, as we all know, birds go quiet in the early evening. And so that's at the point at which the sun comes out. That doesn't come out. It displays the colour of blue, I think it is, across the lake, depicting the evening, almost the twilight. And as we probably don't know quite so well, the garden warbler comes out again before going to sleep. And I did a tour of this piece. It's a very long time ago, in the 1980s, early 80s even, around the whole of the UK, probably 20 performances or something. And one of them was live on Radio 3, which was Huddersfield Town Hall, where they have very strong opinions in Huddersfield, as perhaps you probably know about music. And live on the radio, we got to this point where the garden warbler came out again, after that very beautiful moment I played earlier on. And it went again. And the voice from the audience, very audibly on the radio, went, "Oh, bloody hell, not again." It's one of those things that you never forget. Because trying to hold it in as I was playing the rest of the piece was...
But you can see why I had to stop you.
Well, I did tell that story on Radio 3 once, actually, because I played it just after telling the story. And BBC received at least 3 letters of complaint.
There you go.
So I hope we're not going to have the same today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.